We now bring in Bloomberg's Washington bureau chief, Peggy Collins, finally with us at the table. Peggy, happy Inauguration Day. It's great to have you with us here. What are your thoughts as we walk through these traditions in Washington with such a non-traditional president of the United States?
Well, I think a couple of things that are sticking out early in the day was this effort to really zero in on America's national security and talking about emergencies in order to validate some of the actions that we expect to see and signed later today in terms of executive orders. So that's really around immigration and energy in terms of two of the top two. One of the surprises has been a bit more of a deliberate or measured tone on tariffs. So we really haven't seen, nor do we expect, according to our reporting, tariffs coming out today on individual countries. Our reporting is showing that even on China, there may be a more deliberate posture in terms of negotiating there, trying to find another deal potentially with Xi rather than come right out of the gate today with the broad-based tariffs and higher tariffs on places like China, Mexico, Canada that we might have expected a couple of months ago based on what Trump was saying on the campaign trail. But I think those are some of the surprises. In terms of the markets, they're really reacting to the tariff news as well as the energy news. We saw Trump follow through on his policies on EVs and saying that he was really going to let Americans buy the cars that they want. And I will say that I think in his last speech later in this afternoon, he was basically saying he thinks that he won the election not so much based on the economic policies around inflation and the pain of prices, but really on the border. And I think that's what you're going to see today and tomorrow them really lean into in terms of following through with their promise to the American people.
I'm glad you mentioned the market reaction we're seeing, because you are seeing a weaker dollar today. In fact, the Bloomberg Dollar Index seeing its worst day since August, and it's weaker against literally everything in G10. So even though it is a federal holiday, not just for inauguration, but because of Martin Luther King Day, and stock and bond markets aren't actively trading, you are still seeing people reacting to what we are or are not getting from the now president of the United States. You mentioned this notion of dealing with China when it comes to things like tariffs, but also Donald Trump wants to strike a deal with China and whoever ultimately is a buyer for TikTok. He said today he would be signing something that essentially extends the window so it won't be banned. That's why we saw TikTok only go dark for a certain period of time. When might that be coming, Peggy?
Well, our reporters are looking out for it any minute now. So we certainly are waiting to see if they will make some pronouncement today in terms of those executive orders or executive actions. But again, it is a lot of the posture that we've seen with President Trump in the past coming back as soon as today, which is really bringing business into the fold and saying we're going to make a deal with business owners, with companies like China to protect America's national security. And if we need to bring corporate America into that, or we need to bring in economic tools like tariffs, we're going to.
Quite the scene here as we look at the room of luminaries. Peggy, just pick your table: a high-tech executive multi-billionaire, a Supreme Court justice, a member of Congress. What are they talking about?
I think they're talking about a lot of different things, but I do think that is one of the changes that you're going to see with this administration. We've already seen it in terms of the tech titans that were there today, not only there, but really in the front rows, almost like right behind the family, kind of showing that Trump is bringing business back to Washington. How that actually plays out in terms of policy still remains to be seen, but I think that's going to be one of the most marked shifts of this administration.
All right, Bloomberg's Washington bureau chief, Peggy Collins, thank you.